Are you looking for a way to introduce AI to your students? Well, if you haven't yet, you need to check out Magic School AI. Within Magic School, not only do they have a bunch of different tools for teachers to use, but they also have something called Launch to Students. Within that, a teacher can set up their very own custom room for students to have access to different tools. Now, when you first join and you make your very first room, you'll title it with your course title or whatever subject you're teaching, your grade level, and then it will prompt you to start selecting the different tools that you might want to use. Now, if you look, there are a bunch of different ones that you might want to allow students to have access to, but there might be some that you don't necessarily want them to use either. I recommend not overwhelming students in one of these groups with a bunch of different tools, but maybe just using the tools that you think would be most beneficial for whatever project you have going on. So the first one we want to kind of look at is Reina for Students. This is essentially a chat bot for students to interact with, maybe if they're completing research or they need help expanding on their ideas, or maybe they want feedback on their writing, but you don't want to specifically have the writing tool. Reina is a great one to have in every single classroom because it is a safe AI bot where students can interact and ask any question that they might have. So that's one that we'll look at. And then another one I want to look at is either the custom chatbot or the character chatbot. Now, what those allow you to do is tell the chatbot who you want it to act like, so that when students are interacting with it, it takes on the perspective or the role of that person or that expert. So for the sake of this, I'm going to do a character chatbot. Now, this has to be somebody who is a historical figure or a character from a story. It can't just be like an expert in a field. So I will customize that one in a second. And then there's some fun ones like a song generator and a rap battle. But the other one I want to show is the debate partner. So now in my class, they will have access to those three tools, and I get the ability to customize. Now for this project, I don't necessarily need to customize Reina. I would like it just to be there as a resource for students to use and interact with. So I'm not going to customize it, but I do want to customize my other two. So character chatbot, it's Women's History Month, and also lots of our students have been learning about World War II and the Holocaust. So I'm going to have students interact with Anne Frank. And then I can give some different questions. And then I'm going to make sure I tell it, hey, I want you to make sure that you are acting as Anne Frank as a 13-year-old. And then when I click next, that's going to be what students see. Once I click save, I can then pop back over and finish customizing any other tools. I'm going to go ahead and do this one really fast. And let's do should students be able to use AI in class? It's a big topic right now. And then I have to say what side I want AI to take against me. So let's say that it is pro. All right, so now I've created my custom tools, and then I also have my Reina available to me. So when I click launch room, it's going to give me 3 different ways that I can share this room with my students. Typically, I go the join the URL way. You could also do Google Classroom, or you can do it on a QR code if you have students who have phones that are allowed to use them in class. So that's one way that you can share. I also will show you really fast. If you log back in afterwards and you need to use that join info again, that button up there is where you find it. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just copy this QR or this URL real fast and show you what a student will see. First of all, it's safe for kids because they do not have to log in with Google or first name, last name, or any of that stuff. And when they get in, you can see here are my 3 different tools that I, as the teacher, set up for me. So here's my Anne Frank bot. I'm going to come in and ask her questions about what it was like during World War II. And you'll notice that's a lot of reading for a student to do. So there's also a read aloud button that will take that
Hello, I'm Anne Frank,
response
and I'm 13 years.
and read it out loud. Students have the ability also to copy that response. So if you have a graphic organizer or you want students to take notes on their interactions with AI, they can copy and paste. They can also come up here and edit the prompt if necessary. So where I wanted them to just use the Anne Frank one, I don't want them necessarily messing with that part. So now I'm going to ask them a question. And our AI bot is going to respond as if it was Anne Frank. Now, again, that's kind of a lengthy response. So you'll notice down here that there are some different actions that students can take. Let's say the length is too long. I can always shorten it. If I want to summarize that whole thing, that whole response that it just gave, I can summarize it. I can also translate and say what language I want it to be translated to. So let's say I wanted to translate to Spanish. And it will translate it into Spanish for me.
Hola, antes de esconderme vivía en un bonito apartamento.
So super helpful for our ELL students or our non-native English speakers. You'll also notice down here there is a little microphone button that allows students who might have problems typing or maybe can't type super fast. They can always record their voice and it will type the message here for your AI bot to respond. All right, so let's pop back over really quickly to kind of see our other ones. Our debate partner is exactly what it sounds like. There is my customization that I added. And then students can debate back and forth and hear from the opposite point of view from what their AI bot or from what they thought. So I'm going to take on the role of AI should not be used because kids can cheat. So now my AI bot is responding back with me with, there's also ways that it could be used positively, and so we can debate back and forth. And then last but not least is my Raina chatbot, and that is anywhere or anything that I would like to talk about, Raina can help me kind of work through. So for example, if I'm in 3rd grade and I'm studying about animals and how they live in different groups, I might ask, what animals live in groups? And then it's going to give me a bunch of different ones. I can also ask various questions. I could copy and paste something that I've written and ask for it to edit it. This is kind of like, you know, a built-in peer, if you will. So anything that you ever want students interacting with a peer to do, they could do that also with their chatbot.